32?
I think so. Drew, is this 32? I would say yes.
I would say I would be around the yes somewhere. Somewhere in the vicinity of yes. Vicinity.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all clear on all three networks.
Can you see his computer in this?
Barely.
That's crazy.
That's really good.
Well, that's helpful.
Because I had to put it up higher.
Yeah, I like it though. But I mean, we should do it this way every time. I can read off.
Well,
your computer.
yeah. Now you can look at anything you want to look at. I mean, like anything you need to go search for.
I use Google. I don't use DuckDuckGo.
I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, because you're afraid of getting tracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really works.
It's fast, by the way.
Yeah, it should be much faster.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's at 10.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
You ready, Drew? Can you give me a countdown?
Well, you're on, so go ahead.
Welcome to the MC Squared Podcast. This is episode number 32. Thanks for being with us. We had a little bit of a break, but that just allows the topics to build up, right? Over the last few weeks it's been, and I'm the only one wearing headphones in this situation.
That's fine.
I don't really know why, but it sounds better to me, and it's kind of like my hat. So
Exactly.
How are you doing, Andrew?
It's like you're doing an interview.
And you're like representing Texas here.
I am, because we just got back from a trip to San Antonio, Texas, which I'd never been. I'd been to Dallas many years ago, but never been that far south. Went to visit my brother and his family, and got to go to his new golf business, Short Games.
Nice.
That was really fun. And I went and saw the Alamo, which is a big deal for me. I really enjoyed that. And Riverwalk down there in San Antonio, for those who are familiar with that area, and eat some good food. And actually, we ate so much good food. Felt like just wanted to take a couple of days when we got back and not eat at all. But got a little bit of a cold on the way back, and actually have hit the ground running with my work, and it just has felt like I still am a little disoriented. So hopefully the podcast isn't going to be too crazy. I just feel a little not in vacation mode, just kind of like my world is just, it was
spinning.
So hot down there. This is when you say, how hot was it?
How hot was it, Andrew? We should have planned that one out. How hot was it, Andrew?
It felt like at times like you were in an oven or a frying pan, and I'm not always. In the evening it was real cool. There was a nice breeze one evening. It gets kind of cool at night. But holy cow. The heat, it was warm.
Yeah, but you know what everybody always says? It's a dry heat, right?
Yeah, and the humidity wasn't bad, I will say that, but it felt like you were close to the sun.
Yeah, you are slightly closer.
So it didn't
matter. You are
matter.
Slightly closer to the sun. You're closer to the equator.
But it was interesting, and a lot of different landscape. It was like a different world. So it was a lot of fun.
So what about this? I'm intrigued by his golf business.
Yes,
the Short Game.
yes.
So what's that about?
So it's like a not glorified, but a expanded driving range.
Yes. Oh, awesome.
Covered. And it's got indoor bays but the whole place has got this software. So when you're at the driving bay, you pay for a bay, and it automatically feeds you the ball, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. It runs on a software where you can golf like almost any course in the world. You punch that in, and so it tracks like you're on that golf course. So you're very accurate with your swings and all that stuff. I mean, you can do the putting, the chipping, everything there.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. They also have a lot of instruction. So he's an instructor. He's got two bays that are like huge garage doors. So and it's got all these cameras. In fact, I've got a couple that he sent me. I can't show it here. And I don't want to show it here, actually, because it's me swinging the golf club and, him.
So it doesn't run the family?
Tearing it apart.
He's a golf instructor?
Well, no, it doesn't. But, I did beat him in putt-putt, because in the indoor, you can play a putt-putt course, and it's absolutely crazy. And they serve food, and, I mean, it's really, really cool. But it's just been open since January, so that was what was going on there. So we spent a couple of days there, and he's actually making good wings for snacks.
Oh, nice.
And it was actually really good.
Nice.
The wings were really good.
That's really cool.
And pizza and stuff like that. So, no, that was an absolute blast. And we didn't have to pay for anything either, because my brother owns the business. So that was what was
nice.
cool. But it's not actually that expensive. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did the classic dad thing.
Which was?
You bought the hat and the
I
shirt.
did.
Represents the state you
I
go
did,
to.
and I wore it when I was down there. My wife was like, "You're not supposed to do that. You wear a
You're a
hat from
tourist.
somewhere else that you've been."
You do the one that has Indiana and says home
Yeah,
on it.
well, I
yeah.
have Colorado. I don't want to wear an Indiana hat,
Colorado,
so,
yeah.
But it
That was the
didn't
last
happen.
one.
I didn't care. So
Well done.
I'm not a fashion person. Yeah.
well.
So yeah. Anyway, we've got a ton of topics, and we titled this this episode. Terre Haute makes the national news because there's a couple of national news stories. Actually, one positive, one negative.
Oh, what matters which way you're looking at it.
Well, one's a positive.
One's a positive for sure.
Yeah, and you think the other one's a negative?
I don't really know what the other one is. I have an idea, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the positive. So Richard Goodall, a janitor in the Vigo County School Corporation, was on America's Got Talent.
yeah.
And, locally, this is big news. So
It really is.
Locally, people watching this are not going to be surprised by anything
No,
we
they've
say,
all
but-
been watching it this whole time.
But we have folks that listen to this podcast. I mean, all over the place,
At least like in Illinois.
at least. So, and they may not know this. So, when I first, did you watch him at all on the show?
I watched the very first. Well, we watched the playback of it because I didn't know he was going out for it.
Yeah.
So everybody saw the first song that he did, and I didn't really follow it much. But every time, it seemed like every couple of weeks, whenever they would have an episode, he would do really well.
Yes.
And then it just became really apparent that he was
Yeah.
like one of the top.
Well, I think he had three things going for him. First of all, his voice was incredibly good.
Yeah.
And he sounded like, to me, the lead singer of Journey, and he did a lot of the Journey songs, which is kind of I kind of like that. To be honest.
That's okay. Yeah, that's good. It's good stuff.
In between my worship music. No, I was just kidding.
Yes.
I don't. Anyway, so his voice really good. I mean, really good. But he's also very humble
Extremely.
and about the nicest person you could. I've not met him, but everybody that has come in contact with him or known him over the years said he's one of the nicest people you could ever meet. So I think he had a lot going for him in that respect. I mean, how can you not like that and root for him and cheer for him? So his first one was, I think the first time he sang was just like a home run. They gave him the golden ticket, whatever it is. I don't watch the show that much. I did watch it with him some. He went through multiple levels.
And he's kind of a big contrast to a lot of people on there because if you're going on America's Got Talent, you're going on there because you believe you have talent.
Right.
And so you probably have a little bit of, don't have as much humility as he would have.
Right.
If you believe you have talent
Right.
and you believe you have enough to go on a show like that to do well. And it just really seems like he stayed humble the entire time.
Yeah, and I think he will. I mean, it's just so he did Terre Haute proud, and he won. He actually won.
Crazy.
Now, I will say at the very end, the only thing I watched was between him. At the very end, it was between him and a dog act. Now, Drew watched. You
liked the
watched it,
dog
right?
act. It
Did
was
you watch
good.
the dog act?
Yeah, I saw the dog act.
Drew, what'd you think?
It was good. It was actually kind of crazy how she trained that dog to do that.
So
Like jumping off her back. And
that's great. I didn't watch it. I thought there's no way he gets beat by a dog act.
Well, it's like,
That's
so
just
I remember
me.
American Idol, everybody sang. This
Yeah.
is like, you got random
Anything.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
So a dog act versus a singer.
I mean, but anyway, it was awesome. He won, fantastic. So the negative part of that positive story,
Yes. Okay, I know where you're going.
is no. We've got a negative national story besides this, but
okay.
let's finish up with Richard.
Yeah,
so
let's
first of
finish
all, from the show, we've never met you, but congratulations, Richard. If you ever come across a podcast MC Squared, congratulations. You did Terre Haute proud. We were all very proud of you and very, very grateful for your attitude.
Yeah.
And it speaks well of you.
It does.
So, but the payout, Jimmy,
Yeah, I saw on the payout. So
they advertise it as what?
$1 million.
What?
So
So
you
you win $1 million
Win $1 million, and so
and
you
a
know.
car.
Oh, I didn't know about the car. But anyway, there's been some talk about that, and I think that his humility, and it's based upon votes, right? People vote for you, and so people probably think like $1 million could really change this guy's life, and so let's vote for him. Plus, he's a good singer.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because the million is not really what you think $1 million would be. It actually comes. is actually payable in a financial annuity over 40 years. Or the contestant can choose to do a cash value payout of such annuity.
Which I think all of us would probably opt for that.
And so what do you?
What is that, Jimmy?
It's $300,000 after taxes. About.
I heard it was before taxes.
Oh well, I thought it was after taxes. Maybe
Let
before.
me see if I've got.
Let's see. Break down cash
I know, it's
value.
terrible.
Break it
That's
down.
like
Who had that?
$700,000.
Drew can't.
Okay, but if you don't
Drew
take
can't
that
believe
though,
this.
I know Drew can't. But if you don't take it, it's $25,000 a year for 40 years.
That guy's not going to live for probably 40 more years.
Well, no, they said he'd be 90-some years old by the time he got done paid out.
Yeah,
I know.
I like Richard, but I don't know
story.
what kind of health he's in to make it 40 more years.
But
I mean, it's not all about spending the money. I mean, it's for the next generation too.
So a friend of mine, retired pastor Aaron Wheaton, posted this on Facebook today. That's what if I can find. Yeah, here we go.
Oh yeah.
And he's posting it from somebody else, but so here it is. Goodall getting $1 million, but the payout is $25,000 per year for 40 years, which would make him 95 when it finished. Or take the cash payment estimated to be $300,000 pre-tax. See, it's like a lottery if you think about it.
So
So with your
pre-tax.
lottery, same thing with the lottery. If you win $1 million, right? It's $1 million if you take the payout. If you take the payments every year,
Yeah.
it's $1 million. If you choose not to take the $1 million, it's $300,000 or something like that. Then you get taxed. So if you do the cash payout, he wasn't ever going to get $1 million.
Yeah.
So it's $300,000 before tax. And now this show is in California.
Ooh, he pay California tax?
Yes. So it
Because
is,
he's paid in
and with a
California.
gift
Oh,
tax.
boy.
So I mean, it's not much.
Just giving it back to the
After
government.
a while, you're paying them to go do the show.
But he's really going to make his money from other acts he's going to do later on.
Possibly, and
Yeah, I think
maybe
he'll
someone
get
will sign
some.
him to a
Yeah.
contract and all that kind of stuff.
This
People
is
are going
just
to want to
a-
hear him sing. He's
This
got
is
a
just
great
a
voice.
little bit of a start.
But I mean, what do you talk? He's got the fame, you got the notoriety from it, so
Mm-hmm.
that you should be able to help that propel you onto something
Oh, yeah,
more
big time.
financially. What do you think? Maybe 150,000 is what he's actually going to walk away with.
I don't know.
That's almost misleading advertising.
What did they
Well,
take
as long as
out?
Gavin Newsom gets his in California,
So
that's
they
what we
start
need.
with 300,000, and then they put it in an annuity, and they give you a payment of 25,000 a year off of it until you get to $1 million. So that's how they are able to do that cheaper.
I thought
I
he was-
get you.
I
I
thought
thought
he was
it
just
broke
gonna
it
get-
down to
yeah,
300.
that's fine.
Yeah, no. So then,
his cash
if
value
you get a
payout.
payout where you want it all at once, you get the 300. That's it, and you don't get $1 million. But then the taxes on a lump sum
I got you.
payment are over 50% of a gift tax. It's a gift tax or a super sweepstakes. Any of those people on the shows, the Wheel of Fortune or all, same thing with them. Whatever they win, it's like half.
And it's a
that
lot of
they
them are in
walk
California
away with.
too.
Yeah, that they walk away with. So anyway, so that's kind of the dark side. I mean, everybody knows that though going into it. So
Yeah, you do, and it's really just like he's really going to make his money later on.
right.
Plus, I mean, it was free, to be honest. I mean,
It
Well,
was
he had
free.
to put it.
50,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he put a lot
You
of
think
work
they
into
flew
it.
him out there and
No,
everything,
from
or-
what I heard, I think he had to have a GoFundMe to help
my.
sustain all the travel, all the effort, and all the work put into it. And I think there was also he said on the news that he had a lot of vacation days saved up, so he was able to afford to do that. He was still getting a paycheck from his janitorial work.
Somebody said he's going to quit being a janitor. Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, does he lose insurance?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, he loses insurance.
Okay,
I don't know.
so you're
That's what
concerned
I'm
about
worried
his
about.
insurance.
I'm
Okay.
concerned about his insurance. He doesn't. I mean, he seems like that, but he doesn't look really healthy.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. I mean, he's
Well, you're the healthcare guy, so.
well, he does. You don't have to have health insurance, but I mean, he goes in the hospital for one little thing. I'm sorry,
No, it's true.
150
Yeah.
be gone.
Well, maybe
Pretty
he's
quick.
got some kind. He got married while he was out there this last week, so that was kind of cool. All right, so national news. So that was great, big deal. We also have a negative, and it is unfortunate. So, ISU, Indiana State University, had a speaker scheduled to come and speak to them. It was Rich Lowry, which he's kind of like he's a conservative. He's he's an editor and a journalist for National Review. He's on Fox News a lot and a lot of these different media shows. It's kind of, they'll go to him about politics and things like that. Have you ever seen him before?
I have not. No.
Okay.
Nobody did hear about that. I heard this story about this.
I have. I'm very familiar with him, at least to the extent that I've seen him for forever on these panels, and I think there's even been election nights where he's been a part of it or whatever. Rich Lowry is nobody's radical. He is conservative, but he's not what I would term in any way a firebrand. And ISU. So what happened was he was doing an interview. And maybe I can read it, a little bit of it in his own words. The huge controversy over absolutely nothing, but it's kind of indicative of the hatred and the censorship that's always out there for conservatives. So he was in an interview with Megyn Kelly, and he was talking about the Haitian migrants.
Oh.
Because that's a big deal. It's a big political story, and he mispronounced it. As I pronounce. That's pretty funny. He mispronounced it, and he said, let me see, here it is. Okay, so he goes, on the Megyn Kelly show, he goes, I was, and I'm going to try to explain this how he said it, but he was discussing the Springfield, Ohio controversy, and in course of saying Haitian migrants, he goes, I started to mispronounce the word migrants. I began to say it with a short I, so migrants? I don't know. The way you say immigrants instead of saying the long I that you use for migrants. Yeah. He goes, I caught myself in the middle before shifting to the correct pronunciation. So what I said, you might call the M word. You can try to look up the M word, but you will fail because it's not a word, let alone a racial slur. So he stumbled over his words, and it got blown way out of proportion. It was... NPR, he goes, if you want to go to the absurd Zapruder film links, the JFK film, he goes, you could slow down the clip and hear clearly that what I said begins with the M and blah, blah, blah. So he mispronounced this. It got crazy. He was scheduled to speak at ISU, and they canceled him. And their statement...
I've got it. I've got the statement.
You got their statement? Read their statement if you've got it.
Oh, it's really good. It says, this is what they said. The Indiana State University Speaker Series has a proud tradition of featuring speakers from multiple walks of life, representing a range of political, cultural, and experiential. Don't ask me to say the word. Perspectives. Yeah. So many perspectives. Stated by the university. We are actively working to identify opportunities to invite a speaker with a proven history of promoting intellectually diverse viewpoints to the speaker series, which will be announced at a later date. So don't hold your breath.
Right. But why did they cancel? Do they have the give the statement of why they canceled him?
It is important to stress that this cancellation is not intended to limit our neutrality on different political viewpoints. Oh, here it is. Yep. Indiana State University remains firmly committed to fostering intellectual diversity, encouraging the respectful exchange of ideas from multiple perspectives.
But why?
That is the biggest.
Yes, it is.
Okay, Indiana State University. Did you use AI to write that? Seriously, your professors didn't write that. All right, they did not write that. That's AI. All right.
Okay, but
I don't trust it.
A line in there that you didn't read.
There's more.
Yes,
there's more.
So. This is his quote from their statement. I was scheduled to speak at Indiana State University in a couple of weeks, but the university has scrapped my appearance, quote, in light of recent developments and following the advice of our public safety officials regarding campus and community safety concerns. So they cited the fact that it was unsafe to have this guy on campus. Now, that's absolutely That's absolutely ridiculous. And what he said, and this is what's sad for our university, for our local area, is taking the side of a woke online fringe and giving it what it wants on the basis of almost a certainly non-existent security threat doesn't speak to political neutrality, right? They're not being neutral.
No.
They would never do this to a left-wing speaker. However, say that they're genuine. I don't think they are, but say there's genuine and there was a serious security threat because this guy mispronounced migrant. I still have no idea the racial slur. What in the world? If there is a real security threat, and I'm quoting from him here, what does that say about Indiana State University? If the young people under its care and tutelage are liable to storm a lecture hall if he shows up, that's an indictment of them, not me, is the unquote. And he's right. That's just ridiculous. So
it just goes to show why Indiana State University, unfortunately for our area, but I mean they've been swirling. Their freshman admissions have been down.
Yep.
I mean, and now they're grasping at straws by doing crazy stuff like this. They're very, very partial. They're trying to act like they're impartial. I mean, come on.
Do you think anybody buys that, though? I mean, seriously. And what's funny is, I mean, they could maybe pull this off if it was Trump. I mean, Trump's had 2 assassination attempts on his life. There's currently, threats against his life on a daily basis, and all of them from left-wing nuts, by the way. And so I can see with an actual security concern, when you have someone like the former president of the United States, Rich Lowry is
95% of the campus
not
didn't
the
know this
guy.
guy was even coming on campus.
No,
nobody's even heard of the speaker series because it's probably full of left-wing lunatics that come in.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, and so nobody cares. I mean,
so speaking of public education, because I want to segue into this, because Elon Musk tweeted out or X'd out or posted on X. I mean, I honestly don't even know how it's supposed to be said. I feel like it's posted on X. But I still want to say he tweeted it. Mm-hmm. Is that wrong?
no, I think it's okay to say tweet. Everybody understands.
Everybody knows what I'm saying.
X'd it.
So he tweeted out a graphic. This is really fascinating, and I actually looked up the study and read through some of it, so I understand the statistics based here. So, and it is professors, the headline of it is professors are Democrats, therefore, quote, experts, unquote, are Democrats too. And it gives the percentage, Jimmy, of professors in these fields in colleges, major colleges, the percentages of Democrat versus Republican. I mean, without seeing the graphic, would anybody want to guess? Guess what those percentages are.
I'm interested in what kind of colleges are these?
So
these state-funded colleges?
So they looked. Yes, these are all major. You would recognize all the names. And these
colleges.
Are major universities.
Government-funded colleges.
Yeah,
I mean,
and a lot of them are East Coast.
Oh,
okay. So they surveyed 5,100 professors. So these are professors, tenured professors, by the way. These are folks who are secure in their job. They've been there for a while. Mm-hmm. Among the communications professors, 100% were Democrats. Anthropology was 100%.
How do you get 100% in a survey? What's the N? Did they give you an N on this?
What do you mean?
The number of people.
Yes, 5,100.
5,100 total, and
yes,
100% of communications.
So in engineering was the best, and engineering was about 61% were Democrat, the rest were Republicans. And I actually read some of the statistics that they did, and so basically, they would take say there were 200 professors in a certain field, and they would question them. Probably 80% would say they were Democrats. Probably 10% were not registered to vote. So they just, they weren't registered to vote. So it just didn't even matter. Mm-hmm. And then the other, like another 10% were registered to vote Democrat, or were registered to vote, but said they were unaffiliated, but they were registered to vote. And then you'd have 1 or 2% that were Republicans. Now that is, and this is across the board. Now this was also done in 2018. So it's not gotten better since 2018. This was a little bit a while ago. And this was a lot of the East Coast schools. I mean, there's some major schools. I had the list somewhere. is this scientific? It was actually a very scientific study, but is this all? Does this mean ISU is this way? I would be really interested if there was a serious polling of the ISU professors. From what I've understood from students who've gone there, from folks who sit on boards, it is a very high percentage of the college professors who are left-wing activists. They are for sure Democrats. Now, what's terrible about this is parents send these kids to these colleges, and a lot of them don't realize that. They really, I know you and I pay attention. We think, you should know this. But a lot of people don't pay attention to understand that, and left-wing activist means their goal is not as much to educate your child in communications or anthropology or religion. It is to indoctrinate them in the most important thing that these folks believe, and that is liberalism or socialism or Marxism. It is the most important thing to these folks. And so your kids will go there either apolitical, moderately political, even sometimes conservative, and they will come out believing the most crazy left-wing wacko things about America, about society, about politics. And these folks feel like they've done their job, and these parents are paying for this, or these kids are paying for this, and they're not getting an education. Not really.
The taxpayers are paying for a lot
of that.
In a lot
That's
of
true.
situations. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with this,
Oh,
but there's a spot that we could go really quick. Is number 3 on that list of professors that
Religion?
Yeah,
That's interesting, isn't it?
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's interesting. I think it is absolutely in line. How many times, Andrew, has somebody said to you before, because you have high values, or because maybe you don't cuss at work, or because maybe you try to be nice to everybody at work, they say, well, he's just a real religious person.
Right.
Man, it burns me.
Yeah.
And I think it's from people not really understanding what the root of religion is.
Right.
Religion's not of God.
Right.
It's made by man.
Right.
And it's been the thing that's perverted God from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
And it's the thing that Jesus fought against.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that number 3 on this list, communications, anthropology, religion,
Yeah.
English, sociology is actually under that.
Isn't that something?
And you would never guess that. But these are quote unquote religious professors.
Right. Right.
And
So do you think they've got a positive view of Christianity when they're teaching these kids?
no, I think
Let's read the
I
numbers.
think they're
98.59%.
I think they're
We're
very
Democrats.
I think they're very religious.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
No,
I don't
you're
know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that's, I mean, I don't want to get into it tonight. Sometime we should. I've always said sometime we should. I don't know.
If
We
anybody
should
wanna-
talk
if
about
anybody wanna
education.
listen.
Well, we should talk about education someday. We're not going to tonight. We don't have time for it. It's
Yeah.
a huge subject. But let me just say this and just kind of put this out there just to tick people off. But I thought about this for a while, and I believe this. The public education in America has devolved into a cult. It has devolved into a cult. And what do you have when you have cult followers? Can you present facts to them? No. Any criticism, and immediately they circle the wagons, and you're persecuting me. They follow like blind sheep whatever their organization, whether it's the teachers union or whether it's NEA, National Education Association, or the Department of Education, whatever those folks say, they follow like blind sheep. It is a cult. In the meantime, there are a lot of parents, concerned parents, who are looking at these results, and educators, by the way. There's a lot of good teachers out there who see through the smoke and mirrors, and they're not cult followers. And they look at the results and they go, yeah, my high schooler can't read. Let's look at every available metric there is, whether it's not just test scores. People, they rip on test scores. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, it wasn't bad 20, 30 years ago, but test scores, SAT scores, ACT scores, reading competency, history quizzes, the knowledge of what our forefathers are, how our government works, or any of these things, how to be a good citizen in today's society. And every metric, Jimmy, we are failing and getting worse and worse. And it's not even close. And it is not connected to money. Some of the worst schools are the best funded schools. Mm-hmm. Some of the best public schools are very underfunded. But you got folks in charge that have decided they're not going to put up with this stuff. Discipline has gone out the window. The classrooms are out of control. Some great teachers have nothing to work with as far as support.
There's a lot of great teachers out there. Yeah.
So we don't want to get into it tonight. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole, blah, 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 but it's true. This is a serious, if we want to fix America, and we do, the education system has to get fixed, and we have to be brutally honest with ourselves of what has not been working. Otherwise, we're just kidding ourselves. We're just throwing more money, bad money, or good money after bad money. So yeah. I'm off my soapbox.
Wow.
But
yeah, you really got on it there.
I thought about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we've lost the two teachers that were watching us.
Oh, they're the good ones.
They are.
They're the good
They
ones.
are, absolutely. And I really feel for them.
I mean, there's a lot of people that they went in to teaching because they wanted to make a difference. Just like people that go into, let's say healthcare.
Yeah.
They want to make a difference. They go in to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a lot of people fighting battles out there, but they're getting wins. They're getting wins for the next generation.
Right.
They are. They're rescuing kids.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a safety
Absolutely.
net. I mean, these people are a
But
safety net.
System wide, they aren't beating it. They may be, like you said, they're pulling some kids out of the fire. They're saving the ones that come through their classroom, what they can do. Absolutely. That's great. In the meantime,
But that's all they
hundreds of thousands of kids are having their lives, they're not being prepared well. They're being complete. I mean, colleges now have instituted. I mean, this alone should tell us, Jimmy. Colleges now have instituted remedial courses for almost every freshman coming in to get them, quote, to college level. And college level isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And we're like, at what point do we stop saying it's the Republicans because they haven't been funding us, they're against education, blah, 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 when every person that I've ever talked to cares about kids. We all care. Even though my kids don't go to public school, I care about the kids going to public school. I want them to know how to read well. I want them to know the history of the United States. I want them to be good citizens when they graduate. I want them to be able to read. Mm-hmm. I might have said that already. And I mean, it's just, but they're not. And yeah, my tax dollars are paying for it. And yours are too, and everybody's are, and they're asking for more money, and they're acting like it's because we aren't giving them money. And we all know, if we're honest with ourselves, we all know that is not the truth. That is not the case. It is not because they're not getting more money.
I think it's even way deeper than that. I think it's the degradation of the family.
Yes,
because when you didn't have as much as that, teachers could actually just do their job,
right?
Instead of being caretakers, being
think about
mentors, being that parents should be doing for their kids.
Absolutely. Think about it. When little Johnny 40 years ago would act up in class, I mean, generally he'd get his rear end beat when he got home.
Yeah, probably at school and then when he got home too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nowadays, first of all, little Johnny's never been told no at home. Mm-hmm. He's a holy terror in the classroom. They can't really deal with him. And if they do, the parents show up angry. Yeah, absolutely. But that is the result of 30 or 40 or 50 years of public school education that has taught us liberal, child rearing, liberal this, liberal that. I mean, the spirit of the child is to be free and just move and have no restraints. And that's not life. That's not reality. It's not biblical. There's nothing about that has brought good fruit. So with the experiment of liberalism Now is the time to begin to turn the tide and say, and a lot of parents are. I will say this. So this sounds really negative, but the truth is a lot of parents have woken up and have pulled their kids out of public school. They are homeschooling them. They're sending them to Christian schools. They're doing whatever they can to be involved in that child's life. And they are making a huge difference. And honestly, that is how we're going to turn the tide. I'd love to see the school system totally overhauled. I would love to see the Department of Education or the top-down system eliminated and local communities be in complete control of their public school system.
Yeah, they really
That'd
should
be
be.
awesome.
They really should be.
Yeah. And I think you can cut a lot of the administrators. I think you get rid of a lot of them. You certainly don't need an equity or in whatever, the
Fluff
diversity
jobs,
officers.
yeah,
And
fluff
you don't need a superintendent making $200,000, $300,000 a year. I mean, seriously, you don't need any of that stuff. And I get back to the basics, but that's just me. So
It's gonna take a couple of generations to
it's going to take some people radical and willing to make the choices.
But I think it'll swing.
I do too.
I think
because
things
it's so
swing.
bad right now, Jimmy.
I think things swing, but I believe we're on the upside.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we're on the
Things
other
are
side.
changing.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, and the more people, and I'm not saying that to do this because some people just can't do it, but the more people that get frustrated with it,
Yeah.
the less dollars to go to it. So it makes you think, just like any business, you stop getting customers. What I have to do to change.
Right.
And so
Well,
I think it will drive change.
That's the hope, and that's
It will
always
drive change.
been the idea that a lot of the Republicans have had with the school system. And I know this just riles a lot of people that I know in the education system, but the truth is competition brings a better result. And just to what you said, but a lot of educators, they're very angry about that. They don't want charter schools. They hate homeschoolers. They don't want, Christian schools. They roll their eyes and whatever. And they feel like and they will say that is what is undermining public education. And it's nonsense. That's nonsense. And the reality is, okay, I'm just going to let it. We're going to stay off of that. But the competition is what's good for it because it will expose the ones that aren't doing a good job. And even the freedom of parents to pull their kids from one public school that isn't doing well to one that is, or one that isn't safe to one that is more safe. Those are good things too. Those are good reforms where the parent has the choice to move their kid around and do whatever.
And that's it. It needs to be the parent has the choice.
Absolutely.
It needs to be at the local level because honestly, the Republicans, they've got their problems. Democrats have their problems. I mean, there's a thief there on the left and there's a thief on the right.
No, it's true.
I mean, so it needs to be back to the parents.
All right. So how much time we got? We've been going for a little while.
37.
Do you think we got time for this? I don't know if we've got time for this. We've got so much, folks, because we didn't.
And you just went off on education.
I did, and I don't want to. Honestly, there's so much more. Okay, I will say this too.
No.
I feel sorry for the folks that are in there that are trying.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't debate education much. I'm a homeschool father. I was homeschooled myself. And here's why. And I get a lot of flack. Oh, you'll hear little snide comments and socialization stuff. You will. You'll get people who they find out you're either you homeschool your kids or whatever, and there's just there's a lot of prejudice and bias against it. I don't answer that very often. I don't care. I know my kids are well adjusted. I know my kids are well educated. I don't care that there's that kind of persecution. But I look at them, not necessarily the parents, but I look at the system, and I feel sorry for them because they're defending something that is actually indefendable.
Yeah.
Indefensible. There we go. Mm-hmm. The statistics, the facts, the reality is in our corner. It's failed. It's a completely failed system. And until there is a waking up, and so I don't debate it a lot because it is too easy, and I'm not trying to beat up on anybody. I know there are people who are trying, but it needs to change. It needs to change quickly. Mm-hmm. So we had I'm on X as we've talked about. I'm on Twitter, X, whatever, and so is our illustrious mayor.
Yeah.
And I am. So we got a new mayor. He's a very young mayor, Mayor Brandon Sackbun. He is a Democrat, and he beat someone who'd been a Republican who'd been there for a while. And Duke had done a a fine job, but I think if you're in office for too long, I think
Run out of ideas.
yeah,
Honestly.
you're susceptible.
Yeah.
And Brandon was young. He's energetic. He's good looking. He's full of ideas. Not for me, but I mean it's true. It matters. I think it matters to voters. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, you're never gonna let me live that down,
Oh,
are
that
you?
was a good one.
Okay. Anyway, so he won. It wasn't close.
No, it wasn't close at all.
And I had good hopes because Brandon reached out to some Republicans. Was going to try to be bipartisan. He made some decent moves prior to being sworn in, and then it kind of fell apart. And he has tweeted out some really stupid things and a lot of radical things over time. And I don't know if he's just drunk the Democrat Party Kool-Aid so bad that he doesn't fact checks himself very often, but I mean he's called out Republican candidates for calling for killing their political opponents, which no Republican has ever done that and wasn't. But I mean he just read the headline and ran with it in this big soapbox about it, and it's just some other stuff like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, this last one he just tweeted out, and I'm. Okay, I'll just read it. This in capital letters. I'm not sure what studies or articles are left to right. Education and childcare are two of the many drivers for economic development. Restructure the READY program, which you know what the READY program is.
I don't. See, that's why I don't know what the READY program is.
I believe that is government funds. It is government funds, but the READY grants that we always get for economic development.
Yeah.
That pay for pet projects everywhere. It's going to change our world, No tax dollars. So this is what he's talking about. So the READY grants, restructure the READY program to focus on education. Not like they don't get enough money as it is. Yeah. They're already getting taxpayer dollars. So they want more taxpayer dollars for education, housing. So subsidize housing and childcare. And then after 2 fiscal years, adjust priorities. Now, for Democrats, they eat this stuff up. That kind of a statement, oh my gosh, Jennifer McCormick running for governor, she's going to love that. That is fantastic. It is nonsense. And I'll tell you why. What is actually an economic driver? Is it housing? You're not going to you opening your business because you got a house? An economic driver. What is the driver for economic growth? It is number one, freedom.
Yeah.
And by freedom, that means less regulation. That means the government not telling you what to do. Less taxes, so the government taking less of your profit from whatever you sell, whatever service or good, and the incentive to keep more of what you earn through hard work, selling services you offer, whatever. That is the number one, and it's not even close. That's the economic driver. Education, and this bugs me so bad. I guess we're talking education tonight. Education is a outgrowth of economic development. It is not the driver. When people do well with their businesses, they send their kids to colleges, not the other way around. You do not come out of college with all your degrees and all your ideas and all your wisdom and sit down and make $1 million business out of nothing. It doesn't happen because you didn't learn any of that in college. You won't learn any of that in college. You learn that through the hard knocks. You learn that through life, and you learn that through a gifting or a skill that you already had prior to going to college.
Yeah.
This is what is fundamentally backwards. And then the READY program, I can't stand this stuff, is taxpayer dollars. So the READY, when you're looking at a READY grants or READY program, read money from a hardworking entrepreneur. They take that money from a hardworking entrepreneur, and then they put that money into some kind of a pet project, whether it be a hotel for a millionaire, whether it be a convention center, whether it be a parking garage, whatever it is. And it's things like that. And that's going to spur economic growth. Meanwhile, the small business that's actually pulling our economy is the one that's being weighed down by a heavier tax burden. If they really believed in economic growth, They would stop all the ready grants, all the ready programs. They'd stop all the grants and the tax abatements and all this stuff, and they would cut the taxes of the hardworking small business. And then you would have more people able to afford an education, sending their kids to school. More families, get this, families able to afford to have the wife stay home, so you don't have to worry as much about childcare. I know people hate that, but it's true. Instead, they're looking for more business owners, people with money to pay a higher tax rate to begin to subsidize someone's childcare and all this kind of stuff.
So I read through this a little bit, and I read a little bit of the article as much as I could because I don't subscribe to the State Affairs, and you tell me that's kind of lefty anyway.
Well, no, it's who's it referring to? It's referring to a study done by the Indiana Chamber of Commerce.
So it does say in here that the state child care shortage is costing businesses about $3 billion a year, and so that's the part that I read.
Yeah.
And
so what does that mean? Tell me about that. What does that mean?
That's in sick days, and that's lost time. And so, but this is where I see this. Okay, so it might be a little bit different. I see this as remnants of what happened through the pandemic, because people no longer that shakeup that happened, that the enemy meant for bad, is actually coming back now, and it's actually costing these companies because people realize, you know what, my job's still going to be there. I don't have to dedicate every second of my 40 hours or whatever I'm doing. I don't have to dedicate all that. Because so my kid gets sick, I'll call in sick because they can't replace me. And honestly, I really think that if as far from the business aspect of it, and I'm not looking at I don't know where education comes into this, but from the childcare part, I think the government's not going to fix this, right? We're not going to stick our kids in a government-funded childcare thing. We're not going to do that. But I'm telling you, if businesses get on board with this and they look and see $3 billion a year, and they say, okay, part of our benefit package is going to be to offer childcare.
Well, here's the thing, Jimmy.
I work in a
private business is free to do that. Absolutely.
So this should drive them to do that.
But that's not what they're asking.
No, that's not what he's saying. But I'm just saying that's what this data should show is like the American worker now is really not quite as invested as they were before. And I'm saying that's actually probably a good thing. I think people dedicated way too much of their lives sometimes.
Well, I don't know if it's that good of a thing, but I do think, to your point, it is a shift that happened in the workforce during COVID. And I mean, we all know
shift in priorities.
Yeah, and I think for some of it's not good. And I'm not going to talk about. Let's leave childcare out of it for a moment. Just talk about the absolute pathetic work ethic that is in the workforce today. I mean, it is. You see it in your fast food restaurants. You see it in. I mean, I've talked to manufacturers, and they talk about kids who come in and it's a factory job, and they don't want to work. They don't want to work. And I mean, there is, one of the things that was really cool about the Booker T. Washington book, and then the subsequent book that I read, the follow-up one where it was with him and Teddy Roosevelt, was Booker T. believed in the beauty of, and I believe God does too, the beauty of work. That work in itself is a good thing. And for men, it's a good thing. It's not good for men not to work. I mean, this is something the Bible says. You don't work, you don't eat, but it's not just because, we're going to punish you. It is what we were created for. If you think about in the garden, we were created, to tend the garden. God gave us a job to do. Work is a natural outgrowth. And and after the Civil War with Booker T, there was for the slaves, there was a lot of backlash of, hey, I worked, and they were abused in it, and it was a horrible thing. And he was trying to bring back the beauty of work, which I think is a really cool thing that he did. And it's just wonderful. But we've lost that completely in this society, and folks do not put the effort in. I think, to your point, that's right. I mean, you get it on both ways. You get the employer who's abusing their employees, but you also get these folks that are just like,
I mean,
My kid has a sniffle. I'm gone. I'm done.
I would venture to say where I work, it's probably 90% female.
Yeah. Okay.
And so a lot of females work in healthcare, and that's great because that's
absolutely
that's their national talent is to take care of people. And so,
so you're going to run into this a lot more.
A lot
more. Yeah.
They have a couple kids. A kid gets sick.
Yep.
They need to take the day off. This is where this
And
money's
I
coming from.
understand why you would feel that way because I mean that's the best situation for that child is for that mother to go.
Oh yeah,
take care
don't
of
send them.
Absolutely.
Don't Tylenol them up and send them to school, but be able to stay home. And so I think as like business owners and leaders, you have to like think.
Well, you got to accommodate your workforce,
and you have to, and you have to be able to bend, and then
absolutely,
you know. And I think
I don't want
that's
taxpayer dollars going. To
no,
subsidize
they're not going to fix it.
Yeah.
They got to put it back in the businesses.
Yeah.
And like if you have a business and you say a part of our package is that we are going to offer if you can do childcare, if you can do these work from home days if your kid's sick, or these other things, you're going to get
There's a
talent.
lot of pushback.
You're going to get talent,
Yeah.
male and female talent.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're going to have
that's a huge battle going on with that because you had the whole work from home thing during COVID.
Yeah.
And then even when we
that
came
got
back
real
from
soft,
COVID,
though. Yeah.
then there was a lot of allowance of okay, well, 1 day a week, right? I mean, things that they'd never allowed it, they'd allowed that, and it's still it's a push and pull kind of thing going on between employers and employees, whether that's allowed, and I think to your point, the employees of this workforce, it doesn't matter to them. They're going to demand it. They're going to demand it.
They're going to demand it. Yeah.
I always look at, the Indiana Chamber, I always look at their political, I look at kind of what their motivation is, and pretty much anything they put out, it's got a purpose, and it is not so that employers will be better to their employees. Okay. It's to get some more money from
maybe being ignorant like myself is bliss to read this and think this should be empowering to the businesses to make changes.
Well, and just to finish out because we've gone long and we're gonna close out the. Drew, you all right? Talking to my producer. Yes.
Producer, we're okay.
Yeah. So. We've gone long. We're going to close this out, but I will say one more controversial thing to end this out with this.
We still got to ask about something else too after the controversial.
Okay. Let me say this: because I've pretty much made everybody mad. I just want to finish this out. There is another lie that the Democrat Party pushes about employment, and it is that women get paid less than men. Do you know that statistically, truthfully, factually, that is not accurate? And this story of the childcare is why. Because women work less hours than men. And that is never factored in. So what you do is you take a woman, say you take a woman nurse and a male nurse. They're both paid the same. But the woman makes less. Why does the woman make less? Because she's got to take time off. She's got her other things that she's doing. Statistically, if you will, and this is kind of funny because somebody said, you know what? All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Democrat mantra.
So you're saying that when they give those numbers, it's not apples to apples.
Oh no, they're not comparing apples to apples.
Well, and then are they not prorating it for the amount of hours that are worked?
So, first of all, it's illegal. Or certainly highly immoral, and you would have.
I know my facility does not do that in any way, shape, or form.
Have a completely exactly.
Can't imagine anybody getting away with that.
Exactly, but say that you do because they say that it's the truth. Oh, we're working on equal pay for equal work. Blah 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 blah. Well, it's a non-existent issue. It really is. But if you think about it, so the accusation is that there's rich white men sitting up there greedy. And they're paying these women less than men because they just hate women. Okay, that's the picture you're given. That's the accusation. Yeah. Well, if that were true, Jimmy, okay, if that were true, then wouldn't they only hire women? Because then you could get away with not paying them as much, right? Why would you pay? Why would you hire a man if you could get away with paying a woman less for the same work? Why? Because see, that isn't happening.
I don't know. It is all kind of a.
So that isn't happening, and that is another reason why, because that's ridiculous. Nobody's doing that.
Do you think it happened in like the 60s, 70s, or do you even think it happened back then?
It never happened. I'm going to tell you, this is the brutal, honest truth. if you have a businessman who's coming in and he wants you there 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, I don't know, whatever it is, and you got a man and you got a woman, and you got a woman that has young children at home. I'm just telling you I'm not saying they do it today, but the incentive would be not to hire the woman. You would never pay the woman less. Never. You would never do that. But you would say, I'm paying you only for the time you're here. Right? Why would you want to pay her knowing that the man is not going to be clocking out at the 40 hours? The woman may have issues that arise in the home where she's got to take care of a sick kid, or whatever it is. Which she's got her priorities right. But so what they're actually wanting is paid time off for women. More than men. That's what they're actually pushing for. Subsidized pay. So that the woman makes the same amount as the man, regardless of whether the woman's there or not. Because hey, she's there. She's got to take care of the family.
But don't most places have built-in paid time off that everybody gets the same amount?
More. Yeah, but a man doesn't have a baby. He doesn't get 6 months off.
Yeah, they take it now.
They do now.
Because
they're pushing for that. Absolutely. They're pushing for that. They're pushing for more and more. Basically,
they take maternity leave paternity leave.
Yeah, they're pushing more and more where it's socialism, where the government is basically paying you to go to work. They're subsidizing all of it, or they're forcing the business to do that. So then the cost of goods goes up because they're having to pay for this somehow. They're paying a worker to not be there.
Yeah, the people that I know that work in the same facility, if you, like most facilities, if you have to leave because your kid's sick, it's considered an occurrence against you. So, they switch, you would switch off. I took an occurrence because I had to stay home with Johnny, then my wife would take the next occurrence. And so I think it's...
But the accusation is that you have two people working the same job. Same exact job, a man and a woman. And the woman, because she's a woman, just because she's a woman, is getting paid less than the man. And that is not true. Statistically, it is not true. It's not accurate at all. What they do is they go, okay, what is she overall making? What are women overall making in these positions? Yeah. Women overall are making less. Well, that's because they aren't working as many hours. And that is the underlying. So you're right. It's apples to apples. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there.
Man.
I know.
Going down that road.
Okay, we're about to end.
Oh, well, we're going to ask about the... where were we? Lincoln dinner?
People are going to be so... Yeah, so if you're still watching and listening...
and Andrew hasn't ticked you off yet.
If I haven't made you extremely angry. It wouldn't hurt for the people that get mad just to send in a comment or question and just say, you know what, you jerk, what are you talking about here? Do you hate women? That kind of a question. No, seriously, we have an opportunity. We've been asked to consider live streaming from the Lincoln Day. I think it's October 21st. Is that the date I told you? I believe that was what it is. And I don't know. I'm just kind of torn by it because I'm not sure how many folks want to see that. And I think we'd have to broadcast during the time people would be eating, which is really a bummer because I'd like to eat. But... Yeah. Anyway, we could interview whoever's interested that's at the Lincoln Day. So we might, the guests are Micah Beckwith, the future governor, Mike Braun, and there'll be a lot of other political figures and stuff.
Mark Messmer.
Yeah.
Greg Good,
I don't know if this is something that you would be interested in. So just send us a note, say, hey, that's something we'd love to see, or... maybe not. Maybe I'll pass watching you then. I don't know. I'm kind of torn, to be totally honest with you. Because I'm just not sure how the format would work to be that interesting. It'd be pretty loud in there, which we've done that at the fair. I thought the fair went really well. And I liked the idea of being at a fairground and all that activity going on.
Music going on. And
we had a lot of technical difficulties and all that kind of stuff. But it still worked. It still was good. I don't know that it's the same thing for a Lincoln Day. So...
do you really want political candidates to come on and give their political answers to things?
I love politics and I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. I know. I can just feel I can feel like the vomit in the back of my throat.
No, these people.
They come on and you give them the mic and they don't let go of it, and they just.
No, these people are nice people. They're all good people. At least some of them anyway.
They've all got an election to win.
Yeah, they all do, and I don't feel like our viewers are going to help them honestly that much. Really, do you think?
Probably not.
I mean, a lot of folks are already probably conservative or Republican that are listening to us, and I know this has gone on long, but I don't care. But if you think that's something you would want to do, let me know. The other thing we could do, Jimmy, where we set up our equipment and we did a few interviews, not necessarily campaign stumps or whatever like that, but interviews with. I mean, we're going to have state senators there. We're going to have future congressmen there, maybe and just anything that's interesting, and then piece it together afterwards.
Yeah.
And kind of add it into a podcast or put it out there.
It'd be kind of cool. Yeah. I just thought about this. What if we had a list of like 6 questions and they're kind of like off the wall?
And you did it for everybody.
Like what's your favorite ice cream type? Okay. Like little pilly stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just get to know people more? Maybe not.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, most influential person in your life. That's kind of a good one. It's interesting to hear about.
Yeah, and if any
keep
of
it
them,
less than 30 seconds.
And if any of them don't say Jesus, then we just don't vote for them.
Yeah, we'll actually just cut them. Yeah. Yes. No, but anyway, I mean, just that might be something interesting.
Yeah.
Just to get maybe, I don't know. These political figures sometimes just seem like a.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, anyway, folks, I think we're going to try and wrap up. So please send us an email or a comment or, find some way to... Actually, we do have a way to get a hold of us. So you want to...
Yeah, the MC Squared Podcast at gmail.com. The, T-H-E, not E-E. The MC Squared Podcast at gmail.com is the best way. You also can hit us on... Or you can on YouTube is actually a good area to do if you want to put a comment in.
Absolutely.
It goes to both of us also. So that's YouTube comments are good. Is there any way to direct message? We don't have an Instagram account yet.
So we are on Instagram.
You could direct message Instagram also.
Yeah. So you could also contact me on X or at Facebook or the email I'll send out after this with the connections and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, that'll be good.
Well, I had a good time.
This is a good one. I think we got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, I probably made some people mad. I don't really care.
Yeah, you borderline made me mad.
What did I make you mad? You were mad?
Nah, it's okay.
Well, folks, we really appreciate you watching and listening to us. We hope at least you've been entertained, maybe informed, maybe provoked a little bit, and it's not a bad thing. Sometimes we get settled into complacency.
There you go.
Jimmy, it's been a real blast having this conversation.
Yeah, it has been.
And we don't want to close without also saying that we're keeping the folks of Florida who are undergoing a hurricane as we speak in our thoughts and prayers. We're praying that it's the damage is limited and people's lives are spared.
That's right.
It's really a serious concern. We're meant to open the show in it actually, but we did pray about that before we went live.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
Well, you want to close us out?
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll